Ethan Brooks had never considered himself a suspicious man. Raised in a quiet suburb outside of Austin, Texas, he had grown up believing that trust was the foundation of any relationship. His parents had been married for more than 40 years, and he thought that kind of loyalty was simply what love was supposed to be. When he met Claire Monroe in the summer of 2016, he believed he had finally found that same kind of bond for himself. Claire was magnetic from the start. Her dark brown hair framed a face that lit up with every smile, and she had a way of making anyone in a room feel like the most interesting person there. They met at a mutual friend's barbecue, and within 2 weeks they were inseparable. Ethan admired her ambition. She worked as a marketing strategist for a mid-sized firm in Denver and had big dreams of one day starting her own agency. For the first few years, everything felt right. They shared hobbies, supported each other's careers, and even talked about buying a house together. But as 2022 rolled into 2023, Ethan began noticing subtle changes in Claire. They weren't glaring at first, more like small, almost imperceptible shifts in how she moved through life. It started with her phone. Claire had always been open with it. Sometimes she'd leave it charging in the kitchen while she took a nap, or ask Ethan to reply to a text for her. But lately, the phone seemed glued to her hand. It was never left unattended, and when a message came through, she would tilt the screen away or quickly lock it. She brushed it off when Ethan teased her about being secretive, laughing and saying she was just getting used to keeping her work emails private. Then there were the sudden late nights at work. Claire's job had always kept her busy, but now there were client emergencies and strategy sessions that seemed to happen several nights a week. She would leave dressed in professional clothes in the morning and sometimes return past 11 p.m., claiming the team had gone out for drinks after a big presentation. Ethan wanted to trust her. He really did. But trust doesn't silence instincts, and his gut was starting to whisper that something was off. Her appearance changed too. Claire had always been stylish, but now she was dressing differently, sleeker, more form-fitting outfits, bolder makeup, and a new perfume he didn't recognize. When Ethan commented that she looked amazing, she'd smile politely, but change the subject. It wasn't the bashful blush she used to give him. It was almost like she didn't want to linger in the moment with him. The emotional distance was harder to ignore. Their conversations, once long and meandering, had become brief and surface level. She no longer told him the small, silly things about her day. When they watched TV together, she often seemed distracted, glancing at her phone every few minutes. One Friday night, she told him she had to attend a last-minute networking event. Ethan asked casually, "Anyone from your office going too?" Her answer came quickly, too quickly. "Yeah, a few people. Tyler from accounting, some others." She smiled, but Ethan caught the slight tension in her jaw, the way she avoided direct eye contact. That night, Ethan lay awake thinking about something he had once read. People who cheat often can't completely hide it. They might think they're being discreet, but their behavior changes in noticeable ways. The signs aren't always dramatic, but they're there, unguarded in body language, subtle in habits, and eventually, impossible to ignore. In the weeks that followed, Ethan began piecing together what felt like a puzzle he never asked to solve. Claire's work schedule grew more erratic. She was suddenly protective of her weekends, saying she needed me time, or wanted to spend the day catching up with girlfriends. But whenever he offered to tag along or make plans together, she would find a reason to decline. He also noticed inconsistencies in her stories. One night, she told him she had been at a wine bar with coworkers. Later, she mentioned a completely different location when talking about the same night. When Ethan gently pointed this out, she laughed it off and said she must have misspoken. Ethan didn't want to believe it, but his rational side reminded him that love doesn't erase patterns of deception. He started researching female psychology in relationships, especially around infidelity. He learned that women who cheat often exhibit certain behaviors, not because they want to get caught, but because maintaining two emotional worlds is exhausting. They might become overly critical of their partner, withdraw from intimacy, or, ironically, shower them with extra affection out of guilt. Claire's pattern fit too well. Some days she seemed colder, picking small arguments over things that never used to bother her. Other days, she was unusually affectionate, almost as if trying to balance out an invisible scale. Ethan decided to observe without accusing, at least for now. But the breaking point came one Tuesday evening in early October. Claire said she was going to a client dinner and wouldn't be home until late. Around 9:30 p.m., Ethan realized he needed something from the store and drove to a shopping district across town. As he walked back to his car with a grocery bag, he froze. Across the street, under the soft glow of a cafe's outdoor lights, was Claire. She wasn't with a group of colleagues. She was sitting at a small table for two, leaning in close to a man Ethan had never seen before. Her laugh, so familiar, carried across the street. And then he saw the man reach for her hand. She didn't pull away. The world seemed to slow. Ethan didn't storm over or cause a scene. He simply stood there, hidden by the line of parked cars, watching as reality confirmed what his instincts had been screaming for weeks. Eventually, he walked away, his heart heavy but strangely calm. When Claire came home later that night, she acted as if nothing had happened. Ethan didn't confront her right then. He realized something important. The signs had been there long before that cafe. He just hadn't wanted to see them. Over the next week, he began planning his exit, not out of spite, but out of self-respect. Trust, once broken, is hard to repair. And in Ethan's mind, the relationship had ended the moment she chose deception over honesty. On a quiet Sunday afternoon, Ethan sat Claire down in their living room. He didn't raise his voice or accuse her with anger. Instead, he told her plainly that he knew that the pieces had all fit together and that he was walking away. Claire didn't deny it. She tried to explain something about feeling disconnected, about seeking excitement, but Ethan had stopped listening. As he packed his things in the days that followed, Ethan thought back to everything he had learned. A woman who cheats often leaves signs, not just one, but a string of them, each a small fracture in the trust you've built together. You can ignore them for a while, hoping they'll heal on their own. But eventually, the cracks widen and the truth seeps through. By the time Ethan drove away from that apartment for the last time, he knew he would carry this lesson into every future relationship. Trust is precious, but it's not blind. Love deeply, but watch for the patterns. The signs are always there if you're willing to see them.